Hey everyone, it is 2025 and I am starting a new batch of fifth grade students on ukulele. And I wanted to cover a couple of beginning topics for anybody else that might be beginning with their ukulele. Now, I have an older series here on YouTube called GCAU, which covers a lot of this information that you might also want to watch. It's all free, the documentation is free, and I made an entire beginning course during COVID when everybody was caught at home and people were going to the ukulele, and I wanted people to start right on their instruments. However, that's been a few years. The YouTube whole experience buries videos that are old. You can still find them, but they don't come up in search. The whole algorithm thing doesn't pull them up. So that's available too for you if you're interested. But I really want to talk about strumming today. So I have my close ukulele here. This is full carbon fiber, and this instrument is pretty darn impervious to all sorts of things. In the original introduction of this, I think a crowdfunding video, they ran a Prius over one of these to show you how rugged they are. Now, they didn't show anybody playing that instrument afterwards, but nonetheless, there it is. So, with all sincerity, as we talk about strumming, the main thing I want to get to people is this, is that traditionally in the Hawaiian style, you point at yourself and you point at the floor, and that is the action. It's in the wrist because your ukulele is generally being held by your arm here. So your arm can't be moving up and down. It's your wrist that's doing most of the action. And if I'm playing the C chord, I can strum fast, I can strum slow, I have good control. And we start by strumming with the pointer finger because the thumb is so dominant that if we start playing with only the thumb, that's all we're ever going to be able to do. However, you don't have to strum with your finger. And there, of course, there are different ways to strum as well with your fingers. We're not getting to that. We're starting beginners, right? So the average beginner would strum into the fretboard where the body meets the neck, not down over the sound hole. And that's how you strum. And all patterns just go up and down depending on what you're doing. Even the famous Chucks is still a variation of up and down. Now, if you don't want to use your finger, you can use a pick. But generally, in the ukulele world, we don't use a plastic pick because they can destroy instruments. Now, are there some professional ukulele players who use a plastic pick? Yes. Is that the average player? No. Is that the beginning player? No. And it does really offer a very much more percussive strum. Now, I'm not afraid to strum here on my instrument with this pick because this pick will not damage this instrument. But if I had a wood instrument, I'd be concerned about it. And my most famous story is I have a friend who's a music teacher like myself that got a job in a local school that was a Catholic school, and that teacher had allowed their students to make picks out of leftover plastic like credit cards at their parents' house and things, and to use picks with their ukuleles, and all the ukuleles were damaged. All the wood was damaged. I'll put up a photo here of that instrument. I've talked about that before, but it's a true story that happened locally with the use of plastic picks. We don't want that. So generally with ukulele, you either want to use a leather pick or a felt pick. Now, I was able to buy picks for my students that are leather picks, and they get one a year. If they lose it, they can buy another one if they need to, but they get one free thanks to our parent-teacher school organization, where a student then can use a leather pick instead of their finger. And part of that is because the way that I teach ukulele with the play-along videos and so forth, is kids are having so much fun and they're playing like crazy. They're not trying to be bad or anything, but they're playing, and afterwards they look at their finger and would see that their fingers were bleeding because they had played so much, so hard, so focused. So having a leather pick can help them. Now, I do tell them that traditionally Hawaiian players don't play the pick. The only time I play the pick generally is when my fingers are cracking and the humidity is low and it hurts to actually play, so then I'll use a pick. But a leather pick, and these are thick leather picks that were ordered from Stone's Music in the UK, and he makes these Jumping Cow brand, and I've had some uke stuff ones made. If you want to buy some uke stuff picks, you can find them on my Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/ukestuff. But when you hold that pick, it's just substituting your finger coming down. So you make the hand that's like the talking hand that you draw eyes on when you were a kid or put googly eyes there. You know how you do that? And the pick just sticks down from that. And I like a thick pick. There are other people who like thinner picks, but I like a thick leather pick. And the sound you get is much more natural. Still more percussive than your finger, but there is sort of a natural aspect to that. The other type of pick you can get is a felt pick. Now, this is a really hard felt that I had made after the shape of these picks from Stone's Music that I had made a few years ago by another company that punched them out for me. And I don't even remember the name of that company, to be honest with you. They've lasted so long. These also get destroyed. They also turn dingy. I wish I would have got black as a color instead. But these are made of a hard felt. So again, a very percussive sound. You can actually use felt picks too, and they won't damage your instrument as well. Now, the one other exception is you can buy a thumb pick for times that you want to do, like thumb picking. There's something to be said for that, but you can also hurt your instrument or scratch up your instrument using that. But in truth, with your thumbnail and your fingernails, if you keep long fingernails, which many pickers do, that can also damage your instrument. Now, I will cite Willie Nelson's Trigger as the extreme example of that, but nonetheless, generally in ukulele, you learn by strumming with your finger first. You can use leather or felt picks if you are hampered by the pain that strumming with your finger causes. But those are sort of the options. So again, making a video for beginners, if you want to use a pick, there are some options, but I would encourage you to stay away from a plastic pick, which is included often with beginner ukulele kits. Please don't do that. And instead use a leather or felt pick. And again, if you need a thumb pick for other picking, that's fine. But in general, it starts with a finger pointing at you, pointing at the floor, and then you strum into the whole fretboard, not just brushing the strings, but strumming into it right where the body meets the neck. And that is a really good starting point for strumming. All right, thanks so much for joining for this video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more uke stuff for you.